Hello everyone, my name is Bernhard von Oppen. I'm the Dental Solution Engineer at Formlabs at the Berlin office, and in this quick video tutorial I'm going to show you how to construct solid models with working dies and ExoCAD Model Creator for the Form 3B. In order to follow along with this tutorial, you will need to have our presets installed in your ExoCAD installation. These presets are working on the Valletta, Materia and Plovdiv version of ExoCAD, and you find the files link and the installation instructions on our application guide. That is how our model will probably look like. So you're getting a solid model to fit check crowns and bridges and adjust adjacent contacts and occlusal contacts, and you get extra dies to adjust things like the margin or more detailed adjustments if needed. So let's jump into DentalDB. In order to be able to use the Model Creator module, the only thing you have to do is a normal order setup. So you don't really have to define any material in the DentalDB order setup for the model, because this will be handled later by the Model Creator module. So all we have to do is a normal order setup, and then we're clicking on Model Creator to launch the model design process, which I already did. So we are in Model Creator module right now, and we see a lot of saved scenes, but for the purpose of this video I'm going to click on load scan data only. By the way, if you have a scanner installed and associated with your ExoCAD installation, this will not be necessary. In this case, ExoCAD will automatically load the scans. But I don't have, so I have to navigate to the files and tell ExoCAD which files to use. So first, ExoCAD is asking me for the upper jaw. I'm selecting the upper jaw, click on open. Next, ExoCAD is asking me for the antagonist. I'm doing the same here. And now we're ready for the design. First of all, we need to decide which model type we want to produce. So if you have our presets installed on your system, all you need to do is click on this little arrow to open the drop-down menu under model type and scroll down, and you will find an entry which says Formlabs solid model with extra dies, which we're going to use. So I'm clicking on it. And now the next step in the ExoCAD workflow will be to align the meshes. First thing you will notice here is that the scans are a little bit misaligned. They're facing in the wrong direction, but this can be easily fixed by control clicking on it, and in this case using the blue arrows to turn both scans around that axis. So in this little window we can see the heights of both models together and the height of each individual model. My recommendation is to decrease the height of both models to about 35 millimeters in order to save resin, and make the upper jaw model about 2 millimeters bigger. This can be achieved by just dragging both models a little bit down. So now we have a difference of about 2 millimeters between upper jaw model and lower jaw model. So we are set with the model alignment in this case, and we're ready to click on next. In this part we have the option to remove or fix anything on our meshes. So if you wanted to remove something, you just have to left click and drag to create a selection, and to double click to finish the selection. Be careful if you're using the select through mode, because you could accidentally select parts you want to keep. In this case this didn't happen. If this happens, it is easy to remove parts from a selection by holding shift and right clicking and dragging and double clicking to finish again. Now we're doing the same for the lower jaw. And then in order to remove the selected parts, we have to click delete. Then I can click on next to go into the next step. So now ExoCAD is detecting some intersections between both jaws. We can tell ExoCAD to remove them automatically. We can keep them and also remove them later in the articulator. In this case, I know that these intersections are minimal, so I'm safe to click on Fix by cutting away intrusions. So, as we didn't design any restorations until now, we now have to tell ExoCAD where the margin lines are. I really love the automatic detection function from ExoCAD, so I'm choosing Detect by clicking on the Detect tab. And then I just have to click near the sharp edge, in this case, of the margin line. And ExoCAD will calculate the margin line automatically. This will not be possible if your scan is lower quality, so you will have to manually adjust the margin line by clicking on Correct Draw and, for example, removing control points by left clicking, hold and right clicking, or add control points by left clicking only, and you can drag around these control points to adjust your margin line. So once you're done, in this case with the tooth 1/6, I click on next to go to the next tooth margin detection. So now ExoCAD is asking me for the tooth 2-1. This is this one, and I'm just clicking on the sharp edge of the margin and let the ExoCAD algorithm do its job, and it's doing actually a really good job. But again, this could be different depending on the scan quality. So we're happy with this margin also, and we click on next to define the last margin. Again, clicking on the margin and inspecting the automatic detection, which is nice in this case, and I'm ready to click on next. So now the wizard is asking us if we wanted any adjacent teeth to be removable. We don't want to do this, and this will lead to an error message if we're trying to do so, because we're going to do a solid model with extra dies. So the algorithm is actually not expecting to have any removable dies on the model. So we just ignore this step and click on next. So if you are reaching this step, you will see our settings ready that you have imported by selecting the right preset. You don't have to adjust anything here. One thing to know is that by default, when this step is reached, all the insertion lines will be perpendicular to the model base. This is an ideal situation which we want to keep. This is not always possible, but in the case of a solid model with extra dies, the insertion axis actually doesn't matter, so we can keep this orientation. And in order to create the model right now, we only have to click on Run. So now the calculation is finished and we can check the result. What we see here is 3 extra dice and 1 model. That's how the extra dice is going to look. And that's how the model looks. So what you see here is a ditch around the margin line, which makes it easier to fit check the crowns and restorations, and also helps to avoid possible intersections with your future restoration. So this is like a cutaway for visualization and for easier manipulation. So now we are happy with this design. We have our dice, we have the model, and we click on next to design the lower jaw model. So same here, we don't need to adjust anything because we're using the loaded presets. All we have to do is click on run and check the result. So now our lower jaw model is ready and it is looking nice. So we can click on next. In the next step, we have the possibility to add attachments, like for example articulator interfaces, but we can also add text to engrave or to print, to add to the model. This can be done by clicking on text, defining the text. Let's say we want to put Formlabs on the model. So we're defining the text and then we're clicking add text and clicking on the model where we want it to be. When you see this text appear in red, there's an issue with the alignment with the model surface. So if it is red, you have to drag it around till it turns purple again. You have two options. You can add text or you can subtract. I personally prefer the subtract method, so I'm clicking on subtract. Regarding the size and thickness, this is also adjustable. You can adjust the thickness of these added objects or subtracted objects, and you can also increase or decrease the font size. So now we're going to add this text again. Here we are. Both models are labeled, and now we click on next to let ExoCAD engrave these labels into the model. And both models are ready. So we could click on expert mode if we wanted to make any changes to these models, but in this case we're really ready. I don't want to do any changes here. So by clicking next, this will save these scene files and the objects into my scene folder and close the model creator module. Prior to closing it, it is always asking if we wanted to save something here in order to be able to reuse the scene file later. In this case, I already have a lot of scene files living in this folder, so I won't save this file. Now back into DentalDB. So the next step, if you are on Valletta or Materia, would be to click on Open Explorer and locate your files. So we have model base for the lower jaw here. We have 3 dice and we have an upper jaw model. These files now could be dragged into PreForm, or what you also can do is copy the file path and use the file open menu inside PreForm. But if you are on the Plovdiv version of ExoCAD, which is the newest one, and you have PreForm Formlabs installed on your computer, ExoCAD will detect it, and then you see under the Actions menu on the right side of the Dental DB, you see the Formlabs PreForm button, which then you can click to launch directly PreForm and launch a window which allows you to decide which STL files, in this case, you want to send to PreForm. So you see only the dies and the model files here, but if you have some restorations in this folder, they will also appear. And if you wanted to only print the models, you will have to uncheck the files you don't need to print. So in this case, we just need to click on Proceed to Printing, and this will automatically launch PreForm and import the files. So now we are in PreForm, we have to select the resin. This is something the exporter is not handling, so this has to be set manually. In my case, it is already selected because that's the resin in my printer actually. So I can click on Apply, and I see my two models and the extra dies in the scene. There's a separate video on how to set up PreForm files for the optimal results of printing dental models and dies, which you also can find in the ExoCAD application guide on our website. And that's it for the creation of solid models with extra dies with ExoCAD. Thank you very much.